Okay. Okay, we're going down this masjid over here. Bismillah. It was during Abu Bakr's time, and then followed by Umar when the Muslims arrived in the Holy Land. Muslims ruled until they were replaced by the Crusaders. You can see that every 300 years, more or less.
You know the Imam of the Masjid, where does he pray? Is it the Dome of the Rock or Masjid Qibli?
Masjid Qibli.
So this is Masjid Qibli on our
Yes.
left. Okay.
This is, you will see where he will be standing. This is the place where the khutbah takes place.
Okay.
And this is the place where the Imam leads the prayers during Jum'ah and during Ramadan, Taraweeh, and so on.
Alhamdulillah.
Although we do have two jama'ahs on regular days,
Yeah.
one jama'ah inside Qibli Masjid, one jama'ah inside the Dome of the
So there'll
Rock.
be like two Asr or two.
Exactly.
And do they do two separate azans as well?
No, one adhan,
One azan.
but two jama'ahs, two separate jama'ahs.
Okay.
But when we have like Eid prayers, Ramadan prayers, Jum'ah prayers,
Yeah.
one jama'ah led by the Qibli Masjid Imam. Okay, brothers and sisters, please try to hurry up so we can see as many things as we can. Promise you have a lot of surprises ahead of you. You will enjoy it, inshallah, as long as you have energy. Okay. Okay, we're going down this masjid over here. Bismillah.
I will not fall, but I'm forgotten. I'm standing tall. I feel abandoned. Stand elevated.
Okay, so we can save time. Those who want to do Tahiyyat Masjid, those who want to pray Duha, you can do that. Ladies usually take that corner, men will take this corner.
Blessed by the prophets, led by the greatest, and peace it was promised. Can you hear my cry? Can you feel my hurt? One day the sun
We'll stand over here. So those who are with their back to the wall, you might just want to sit the other way. That way I will be standing in between so both brothers and sisters can see me. You can take a seat if you want. That would be just as good so the others can see, inshallah ta'ala. I will start with this timeline just to give you an idea about the history of the Holy Land. We'll go with English since you guys are not that good with Hebrew, right? Okay. Forget about the age, stone, and so on. Let's start with the Hellenistic era. Hellenistics are the Greeks. You must have heard about Alexander the Great conquering the East, going as far as India, China. So this is the time where the Hellenistics came in and they ruled, of course, over the Holy Land. Although his leadership did not last for long since he died young, two of his commanders inherited the Hellenistic Empire. Eventually, they were replaced by the Hasmoneans. You might have heard about the Hasmoneans. Hasmoneans are the Jewish dynasty, actually, that established a kingdom in the Holy Land in the year 167 BCE. As expected, cousins usually would start fighting over leadership. Like, I want to be the king. My father was the king. It turns out that the grandfather was the king. So all his great-grandchildren, they all want to be kings because they follow the same grandfather. So once those started fighting over power, they did find an opportunity to get some help from the Romans. Romans were expanding, coming from Europe, almost reaching the Holy Land. So one of the cousins used the Romans to help him against his cousin. So the Romans were very happy to execute that mission because once they took one cousin out of the picture, it was much easier to take the other cousin out. Less people to fight against. Romans actually controlled, and then historians falsely started calling them Byzantines. Byzantines are the late Romans. They ruled until the early Arab era. Early Arab era, that's when the Muslims arrived in the Holy Land. We remember that in the lifetime of Rasulullah ﷺ, he was already thinking of expanding towards the Holy Land. It was during Umar, it was during Abu Bakr's time, and then followed by Umar when the Muslims arrived in the Holy Land. Muslims ruled until they were replaced by the Crusaders. You can see that every 300 years, more or less, you have a new dynasty. You have new people coming and taking over. And then they were replaced by the Mamluks, Ottomans, British mandate. The Brits controlled this land for 30 years. And then 1948, we have the Israelis controlling the Holy Land. This is what I talked about using the sound system. This is the map. Once we go out, it gets better. This is the map that Brother Abdul Aziz showed you. You can't hear. This is the map of the old city with the 4 different quarters. Muslims in green, including Masjid Al-Aqsa Mubarak. Christian, Holy Sepulchre Church. Armenian. And then you have the Jewish quarter, which is the last and smallest one. Okay? 4 quarters, 4 different communities inside the old city. As you will see during our walk, no walls, no gates. You can just walk freely between the different quarters, no problem whatsoever. Okay. What I will do, however, talk about this place. The place that we are in now is called Masjid Al-Buraq. Masjid Al-Buraq. Of course, the Buraq is associated with Rasulullah ﷺ's night journey, Isra and Mi'raj. According to tradition, Rasulullah ﷺ comes to the Holy Land on the Buraq with Jibreel alayhi salam. Rasulullah ﷺ says in that hadith, وَرَبَطْتُ الْبُرَاقَ كَمَا رَبَطَهُ الْأَنْبِيَاءُ مِنْ قَبْلِ. So Rasulullah ﷺ ties the Buraq in the premises of Masjid Al-Aqsa Al-Mubarak, and then he joins the other prophets in the prayers and he leads them in the prayers. Later on, it was believed that Rasulullah ﷺ tied the Buraq in this area over here. You can just imagine if you take out the building, the roof, the stairs, this is like the side of the hill, the side of the mountain where the Buraq was tied according to tradition. However, when I say according to tradition, we do not have any proof that this is the place where the Buraq was tied, okay? Because we do not really know where it was tied. Later on in the late Ottoman era, Ottomans added this ring over here, as if the Buraq was tied to it, okay? And that's why you see many visitors who come from all over the world. Whenever they come, they want to touch this ring over here, believing that they are touching the same ring that Rasulullah ﷺ touched. It has no truth to it, because this was put about 300 years ago, and the journey, the night journey, was done 1400 years ago. Okay, so this is just a symbolic ring referring to the place where Rasulullah ﷺ tied the Buraq to. Okay, the Buraq Masjid over here actually is the inner wall of Masjid Al-Aqsa Al-Mubarak. That means that right outside this wall over here, this is the Wailing wall from the outer side. Okay? This is part of the masjid. This is part of the masjid on the inner side. Right on the other side, that is the Wailing wall. That means that if I open this window, if let's say that this is a window, if I open this window and I will be looking downwards about 20 meters below this level, this will be the women's section part of the Wailing wall. Behind this wall, 20 meters down, as we speak, we have Jewish women praying towards this wall. It's the same wall. From the inner side, it's the masjid. From the outer side, it's the Wailing wall where the Jewish people pray. Now, why do Jewish people pray towards the Wailing wall? And why is it called Wailing wall? Anybody knows? No clue. Okay. Wailing, of course, is weeping, crying. So Jewish people, since according to their belief, the temple used to stand exactly where the masjid is today. The whole premises, the whole area where we have been walking, that is where the Jewish temple used to stand, according to the Jewish belief. That's why once that temple was destroyed, the only surviving part of that temple was this wall itself. So for them, once they are praying towards the wall, they are not physically praying towards the wall. They are praying towards what used to stand behind that wall, which is their temple that does not exist anymore. So the wall is just like a symbol of where the temple used to stand. It has no meaning. They are not pagans worshiping stones. They are praying towards the wall praying towards the temple that used to stand behind the wall itself. Now weeping, of course, is crying for losing the temple, because the temple was destroyed, and therefore they are crying for the loss of that temple, and of course working effortlessly. They're trying to rebuild the temple, and I do have a map that will show you, because we cannot really communicate. I will show you that map later on, inshallah, with all the details of the assumed temple and how it's supposed to be built instead of the masjid itself. Any question? No questions so far? Good. Okay, we're gonna put on our shoes, we're gonna climb up the steps, and we're gonna continue to another destination, inshallah.
We'll rise over this land of love. Ya Aqsa, حبك في قلبي سامحني يا أقصى عيناك تبكي فإني هنا أدعو إلهي احميها يا رب فهي في قلبي. It is the first Qibla in Islam, Al-Aqsa and peace goes hand in hand. This is a home, it is alright. लाखों सलाम